Good day, beautiful friends. February has arrived, and where did January go? Because it sure did fly by, didn't it? And now February came in like a thunderstorm. Thunder and bolts of lightning with that full moon in Leo opposing Mars in Aquarius. Topped off with February 1st coming in with major solar flares. Like record-breaking solar flares. Well, top 20 anyway. Just as Spirit showed us if you happen to catch the February forecast and predictions. And they're saying that we are heading into another Carrington solar event. My spirit guides totally agree. And we're going to have to talk about that today because it's really important. The times are interesting for sure. We had another drop of the Jeffrey files. Supposedly over 1 million files or 3 million files or whatever it is. It's going to take forever to go through them all. But so far, this confirms much of what we spoke about and been speaking about for years now. A lot of it. And much of what most of us already previously knew. I mean, if you're tapped in, they are all corrupt. They're all corrupt, sick individuals. And there is more to come with all of this. And of course, we will cover some of that today. Did you hear in India, they are now telling us that it is a deadly outbreak of a bug, said to be worse than the 2020 bug. That's what they're saying anyway. With a much larger fatality rate, much larger. I think it was like 45 to 75%. That's pretty high. The spirits did warn us that we would be seeing several outbreaks in 2026. Is this something that we should be concerned about? Are the globalists going to push for another lockdown? Well, we're going to talk about it and tap into that today. That's very important. We had more severe storms sweeping across the globe. Here in the United States, causing what Spirit warns, major vehicle pileups. The Earth is about to make a huge shift and seismic activity is about to flare up. We are heading towards, we're not in it yet, but we're heading towards a major energy shift. And February is just the precursor to stepping into that energy shift. $3 trillion. God, the things that we could do with $3 trillion, you and I, friends, just our tribe alone. Man, the amount of people we could help, the native people, just the people, the veterans. I mean, there's so many people we could help with $3 trillion because that's what was lost in silver last week. It just disappeared. And the largest drop in precious metals in history. Yeah, remember Spirit said it would go down and then it would go back up again. And this had so many people in a craze and still have people in a craze. Oh, I should have sold it. No, you definitely should not have. I didn't. The question is, I'm sure many of you are asking, will it make a rebound? Because even crypto took a huge hit. And another prediction, close to one of my past predictions anyway with crypto and XRP, and we'll discuss that today. Spirit told us we would see high-profile arrests. I'm just wondering if we could possibly place Don Lemon into that category. I'm sure he would place himself into that category. But as you know, he was arrested. And he's, I'm sure, out by now. All while someone else, did you hear? This world, friends. Someone else tried to help Luigi Mangione escape from prison. Boy, oh boy, things are really about to get real. They're getting real, but they're about to get even much more realer, if that's even a word. Yeah. Did you know the doomsday clock was moved the closest ever to midnight? I don't even know how close, but it's pretty darn close to midnight than ever before. Yeah. And did you also hear that Mel Gibson is considering running for governor of California? Go Mel. You got my vote, but I'm not in California, so it don't matter anyway. They're not going to let him in there. We know about the Dominion machines and how things work and how they worked ever since they took out JFK. So much, friends. So much to cover today, including answering many subscriber questions. So let's get down to it, to episode number 202 of Tuesday's Teatime, baby. Beautiful souls, welcome back to the Love Shack, baby. I'm spiritual medium Joseph Tittel, a.k.a. Spiritman JT, but I bet you knew that already. Happy February to y'all and a post full moon in Leo. We literally flew through that month of January, and don't you agree? And to me, it's quite obvious that there has been an acceleration in time and space for quite some time now. Perhaps it just sped up maybe just a little bit as we stepped into 2026, because it's like, where'd January go? It's like, wowzers. February's shorter, so it'll go even faster. Now, on Sunday, several extremely strong X-Claire solar flares. I think one was an X 8.9 or something. The last heaviest one was back in 2024. That was an X 9.0, I believe. Yeah, they were unleashed from the sun, and they're heading towards the Earth. Some of them hit the Earth yesterday on Monday, which is today. I'm actually recording this today on Monday, February 2nd, and it is 4:38 p.m. here in beautiful, gorgeous Sedona, Arizona. Man, what a gorgeous day it was today. I sat out and got some sun on the face, got my vitamin D in directly from the sun gods, did some third eye activation. It was gorgeous out here today, gorgeous. But going back to these sun flares, this is the brightest flares since October of 2024. And among the top 20 sun flare classes since 1996. Now, if you remember, Spirit did warn us that there was going to be a solar maximum and record-breaking flares. We're coming. I'm pretty sure that's even in I know it is in my 2026 predictions. I did multiple videos on 2026 predictions. So if you're new here, make sure you go back and check those out. Starting in February, all this happens on February 1st, no coincidence that they began coming in on the very first day of the month. And on the day of the full moon. And I even touched on that in my February forecast, I believe. And I would expect, for sure, the massive earthquake that I've been feeling when I prepared my February forecast and predictions could and will be ignited in sequence to the sun's activity this month. Because that's just the first. And that happened on the full moon. There's just too many things line up with wild alignments that are powerful. And once again, the sky is going to light up throughout the month, but in the coming days in different places with the gorgeous borealis northern lights in places that never witnessed the phenomena. Remember, we said that years ago that would be coming, and it's here. It started, in 2024? It's wild. We had them here. I don't think we'll have them here now. I didn't look at where the sun flares hit when they hit the Earth, that energy, but that's where of course, borealis will take place the most and most beautiful. Now, that snow full moon lit up the forest here in Sedona, because I live in the forest a bit, and the whole neighborhood for the past few nights, bringing with it a really strong energy I felt of change and shift. How about y'all? Very strong energy. Because remember, the full moon in Leo opposing Mars in Aquarius is truly going to rile some people up. Yeah. It's going to rile people up, especially those who have a challenge controlling their emotions, especially anger. And we will and do see this already playing out in cities with these alleged orchestrated manufactured protests, attracting folks with heavy emotions that they can't control. A disaster in the waiting. A disaster waiting to happen. So steer clear of these for the next few weeks. I'd say steer clear of these for the next 6 weeks at least. Because remember, we're going into that heavy Mercury retrograde and energy shift, especially when we step into March. That's going to be wild. February is just the precursor of that craziness of March. Goodness, though. Good comes out of this, remember. And watch what you say and watch where you go so you don't end up getting caught up in a situation that you regret later. Today's February 2nd, but when you're watching this, today, February 3rd, we have Uranus direct in Taurus. And this shows up as a nice breath of fresh air. It's like a fresh movement into the real world stability zone, such as, say, energy, agriculture, currency sentiment, and market risks appetite. So with this is going to come huge pivots, and this was in my predictions for February, huge pivots in the markets, ups and downs. Yeah, and you can make, markets have been okay, but you can make money if you know what you're doing. But I also see that there will be some disruptive announcements that cause temporary drops in markets. And they're temporary drops. Remember that, says the spirits. So temporary drops, that's what the globalists do. They hurry up and go in and buy it. They make some kind of disruptive announcements, sometimes purposely, and then they cash in or cash out, one or the other. We have to follow their patterns if we want to make money like they do. Along with some, we're going to see a lot of acceleration when it comes to innovation around tangible resources. So there are good things that come from this. Good things come from everything. And I feel that there's going to be coming disruptions in big oil. Yeah, I feel coming disruptions in big oil. We're going to see announcements coming around big oil. And unfortunately, we're going to see even accidental or some maybe even purposeful incidents such as explosions, pipeline leaks, and even I had a vision of an oil carrying ship, tanker, or whatever you call them, in flames on the Pacific. So I don't know what that is. I had that vision this morning. Next week, when we step in on the 11th, we step into that pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde. And if you want to know more about February's energy and transits and how to take advantage of them, be sure to check out my February forecast and predictions video. I will leave a link up above at some point and down below in the description. You want to catch that so I don't have to repeat myself. And as we get towards, say, the 14th of February, into the latter part of the month, we're going to see a larger call for accountability and visibility. Is that the word I'm looking for? Accountability is the big word. I saw this vision of Kash Patel, and he looked like he was a deer caught in headlights. It was an interesting vision. It was just literally, and you know how he's got those big eyes. He was a deer caught in headlights. And as they say, I took this as that there's going to be a call of accountability coming around the FBI, maybe even around Kash Patel. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and the CIA. Big breaks are coming around all that, and Spirit says things coming out and truth drops around the Pentagon, and even leaked papers that are going to come out of the Pentagon in the near future. That's a good thing about energy shifts that are coming up, especially in March. It does bring out stuff like that. Truth comes to the surface. We begin to see people's true sides, true nature. It's an interesting time indeed, and again, we can take advantage of it. I feel that we are going to soon begin to witness disruptions when it comes to the Earth's plates and, of course, weather activities. And I feel that there's this darkness. This was really an interesting vision, friends. I feel that there's this darkness that's escaping from the cracks of Mother Earth. And like I said, it was really, really strange. I had this vision that I was in a field, and it looked like something out of an apocalypse movie. And I see all these different mounds, almost look like giant ant mounds. And then basically small volcanoes is what they look like, along with multiple large volcanoes. It was just this giant field as if I was out on another, I almost felt like I was on another planet. First, I saw the smaller ones. They began puffing out smoke like a chimney, all the smaller mounds. And then the larger ones all began to erupt, like one after the other. It was almost like a domino, one after the other. And I tried to make a count in my vision, and I could only estimate that I saw, I believe, either 6 or 7 volcanoes erupting in this field, in this vision that Spirit showed me. So I doubt that this is happening all in one spot. I mean, I don't know if there's a spot that even looks like what I saw in my vision. I took it more as a metaphoric and being more symbolic than anything. Perhaps interpreting that we will first see puffs of smoke, maybe from places like, say, Yellowstone National Park. Maybe puffs of smoke from other national parks, maybe Alaska, Japan, Indonesia. And that will be followed by 6 or 7 volcanoes all erupting across the globe simultaneously. That's how I took the vision. You know, that's the key to this, is sometimes we don't always interpret the visions completely correctly. And we'll have to keep an eye out. Let me know what you think that vision would mean down below, or if you agree with what Spirit's showing me. Because I do know that there are always volcanoes erupting, friends. I mean, always. I mean, you look right now, I'm sure there's a dozen of them erupting across the planet. That's not unusual. Many at the same time. But this vision felt huge to me. It felt more significant to me. And I can't say it's all happening in the month of February either. But I do feel without a doubt that there is going to be some huge Earth events heading our way between now and, say, early April. Speaking of early April, Easter has been jumping out at me since last year. I'm sure I even mentioned it last year in one of my broadcaster predictions. And I have this strong feeling that something significant is coming either Easter weekend, which happens to fall on April 5th, Sunday, of course, right after the full moon, of course. It's always right after the full moon. Isn't it interesting that they base Easter always on the equinox? That's why Easter changes every year, if you weren't familiar with that. It's the second Sunday following equinox and days following the full moon, apparently, this time. Now, technically, equinox is the true new year. It is the true new year, no matter where at on the globe you are. It's the start of the new year. Mainly because the sign Aries starts and rings in on spring equinox or fall equinox, depending on where you live, again. So there should be 13 months in the year. They changed it. Pope Gregory II changed the calendar. Women have 13 cycles per year. The Earth rotates 13 times a year. 13 is really a lucky number. A really lucky number that got a really bad rap for whatever reason. And I had this strong pull, again since last year, to this window of time just before equinox. So we'll say maybe right around March 18th, March 19th, through Easter weekend, which would be, of course, April 5th. So it just so happens that March 19th and 20th is also when we step out of the pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces into the direct Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So that's interesting. Interesting window of time. And I feel like the post-shadow doesn't conclude until April 9th. So, we're in it pretty strongly. We step into not the direct Mercury retrograde. I just got brain freezed. We step into the post-shadow the 19th and 20th. We're in that direct Mercury retrograde the end of this month into March, till March 19th or 20th. Yeah, so that window of time, friends, that window of time feels very significant to me. The 18th of March through till April 5th. And again, April 9th is when we actually step into the post-shadow. Yeah, that's big, or come out of it, or whatever it is. The kickoff to February, of course, kicked off with this X-class solar flares showing up right at the start, same time as the full moon, or right after the full moon, one or the other, but pretty close together. And I feel that we're going to see massive activity around equinox, or more so around April 1st or the full moon. The April 1st is full moon again. Isn't that interesting? April 1st, full moon. Full moon in February 1st. I forget what it is. Is it March 1st too? No, it's March 3rd. March 3rd. Yeah, it's just interesting. I just find everything to be interesting. But Spirit shows me again that window of time around April 1st, full moon, where we're going to see a lot of solar flare activity. And this is the window of time that I just mentioned, where we're going to see an amazing time of spiritual ascension and this total shift in our consciousness. So that's the good thing that's happening in that window of time. Sure, we're going to see major events happening across the globe, likely Earth events too. But it's all about the spiritual ascension that's coming in. And I'll be sure that I'm going to have to put out a special meditation either, late this month or early March, or at some point before we get to equinox, to assist in taking advantage of these coming cycles and to help you to absorb these light codes when they come in. Because if I remember correctly, we had them come in last year around spring equinox too. This year is much more significant, much more intense. So spring, or equinox in general, spring, autumn, no matter where you live in the world, is a very significant point for humanity this time. It's a new year. Remember, we step into a new year on March 20th, 21st. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. Hey, if you are enjoying this content so far, friends, as I really truly hope you are, you made it to this point, did you not? So please do give me a thumbs up. Click that thumbs up love button. And remember, no matter what thumb you do hit, it still actually helps the channel to get more folks to join our tribe. YouTube likes any kind of interaction, especially leaving comments below or even leaving just a little emoji down below in the comments. So please help out and do that for the channel and for me. I appreciate you with love and gratitude. Also below, in the description, you're going to find the newsletter and the link for the February newsletter. Sign up for that free newsletter so that you receive updates. All my social media is down below in the description, where I post different content on different social media platforms. And also, don't forget about our friends at the Awaken Your Spirit Subscribe Star platform, link below as well, who help make this free content possible for everybody else. And all those that contribute to this channel, I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Going back to the solar flares for just a moment, the sun unleashed not just one or just a few. It actually unleashed in 24 hours, it unleashed 27 flares. One of those flares being the largest that we've had in many years, since 2024 anyway. Some are actually saying that we are heading into the next big Carrington event. If you're not familiar about the history of the Carrington event, go look it up. It did lots of damage to the earth, well, to telegraph poles and all kinds of stuff. And I just saw Mr. MB333 on YouTube posted something on Facebook yesterday about the Carrington event, and all the signs are showing right now that we are heading into that. The same signs that played out before the Carrington event. And if you remember going back, I think it was Channel Predictions, I don't remember. It was a while ago where I talked about a coming Carrington event, that there would be another Carrington type event that would occur. And it would be much more damaging than the Carrington event, just because we have way more technology that can be damaged in such an event and way more satellites up there. So major issues I see coming due to solar flares. I mean, it's a given. This would make sense to many of the things that Spirit pointed out to us. Remember, large power outages, satellite outages due to solar flares, major issues in some countries with communications. Again, if you're in the direction of where that radiation's hitting the Earth's shield, yeah, you're going to be affected. So I see communication issues with devices, and that likely is going to come up when we're in this Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde also affects communications and technology. So a solar flare during that time period would make complete sense. And I also see it having, of course, a major effect on the climate and shifting the climate. It's all shifting. The sun, the earth, us, the animals, everything's shifting. Now, February has arrived and came in like thunderstorm, did it not? We had the full moon in Leo. We had the major sun flares pounding the earth once again, just as Spirit showed us in the February forecast and predictions. They are saying we are heading into that next Carrington event, and my spirit guides completely agree about that. We often see a pattern of major earthquakes that take place after significant sun flare activity. So far, things have been somewhat quiet so far. No coincidence, though, that there was another small earthquake. Did you see that? I don't forget what it was, but it was a small earthquake over there where my friends reside in New Jersey, and it was right next to that Trump golf course in New Jersey. That happened before. I think it was last year. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was last year. Yeah, so interesting. More shakings are coming to that area and to the East Coast too. Nothing to worry about, but definitely something that will worry people. And we're seeing on the earthquake map, just around 110, 4.5 quakes or higher in the past week. But there's none in the red, just yet anyway. There's usually always one in the red. There's none in the red. Maybe it's because I usually look because there was an earthquake and there is one in the red. But yeah, there's none in the red. But I suddenly had this vision of like I'm sitting there appearing at the list of earthquakes. And as I'm scanning through the list of earthquakes, I'm seeing one red earthquake after another in the red, looking at a USGS, of course. And at least in this vision, at least a half a dozen or more. So I take this sudden vision as a sign that there is going to be a whole bunch in the red soon. And soon we're going to see one shake after another appearing in red on the USGS. That's how I took it. Interesting. I think that'd be how you would take it too. So I expect seismic activity to begin to flare up in the coming weeks. I'm going to say right around the 17th onward, even though I would expect something in the coming days, just because of the energies that just came in on the 1st and everything that's happening in the coming days. Maybe even before I even put this up and you're watching it, we could endure a major quake. But I'm looking at the 17th onward, and don't forget, friends, we are not just about to step into Mercury retrograde cycle, the first one of 2026, on March 3rd. The first tsunami wave of energy is going to come in, beginning again March 3rd, full moon. And so I tell you, friends, get your surfboards ready. Get your surfboards ready. And speaking of Earth events and and about weather, more ice storms and snowstorms swept across the United States. I played a video last week of, was it last week? Of the trees exploding. And I only showed you part of the video. The one video I showed you, people were like, that's AI, trees don't explode. Trees explode, do your research. It happens. It was happening in Wisconsin. And the one video I showed, I only showed the clip of the tree exploding. But the guy is actually chopping wood, and down in the distance you see it happen, and then he walks down and shows you the tree that exploded. So that's not AI. It happens. When the temperatures plunge, the water stored in the trunk expands, and eventually the tree goes boom. Crazy, right? Crazy. And now people have never heard of that because if you don't live somewhere where that happens, you might not have ever heard about it. Now we got social media and internet and all these things going viral. Now you're hearing about things and phenomenon that you may not have heard about before. I haven't been paying attention as far as the rest of the world, as far as snow and ice and storms are concerned. I only mention this because people left in the comments down below about the major car pileups occurring, which was in my predictions in the video I did last month. One of these pileups occurred on January 31st in California with more than 100 vehicles due to a heavy fog. Now remember, my past vision that I had, remember I warned about this. I saw a fog and a pileup due to this fog. It's kind of like I was in a vision driving. Everything was fine and I hit the fog. And when you hit the fog, it's too late. So I can't recall where the other two, because there were two other different big pileups that happened here in the United States anyway. If it's been happening where you live, do let us know. And just be mindful, friends. Just be mindful and alert out there on the road. Because we are going into that accident-prone energy, as I warned you in the February forecast. All the more reason to put safety first. And do you happen to know the 3 C's of driving? I learned this in high school in 12th grade when I took driver's ed. The 3 C's of driving. Most people this should be on people's driver's tests. Caution, courtesy, and common sense. Express the 3 C's of driving while we're in this accident-prone energy. And remember, I warned our friends down in Florida, about the sudden cold that they were going to get. Yeah, you remember that prediction? That goes back to that same video I talked about when that storm was coming. I told Florida that they were going to get hit with cold, and that's exactly what they've been dealing with. They have iguanas falling from the trees from the cold. I saw this video, this guy collecting all the iguanas that were falling. He's lining them up, I guess, to keep them warm and get them out of the cold. Yeah, well, friends, I can tell you, get used to that cold because it's still going to be hanging out for a while. The good news is it's almost just over 6 weeks till the equinox. I have my Walk for Peace Aloka shirt on today. The dog Aloka. So cute. I haven't even been caught up on them. Did they make it to DC yet? I haven't been caught up. I haven't even caught up on just a little bit that there was just another drop in the Jeffrey files, as you know. And these files, of course, confirm much of what we spoke about in the past, much of what most of us already knew previously. I've been telling y'all for years now, they're all corrupt. They're all part of it. You don't get to that level of success and that level of billionaires unless you sign your soul over. Yeah, they are just a bunch of corrupt, sick individuals that belong to all their little secret organizations and such. Eventually, things that people say, oh, it's conspiracies, all coming out to be truth. It has been since 2020, really. Yeah, interesting times. Now, we could talk about the Jeffrey files and all the trash that's been divulged in the latest dump of millions of files, but it would take hours to go through all that. Yeah, really. Not really any need to, in my opinion, because we already know some new revelations. There are some. There'll be more, too. But there's some pretty interesting revelations. One of my ones that I thought was very interesting is what's his name? Mondavi, the new mayor of New York City. Yeah. Him, mostly his mother, is very, very much a part of the Jeffrey files. Go figure. They're even in pictures and photographs together. Many pictures and photographs together. How interesting is that? Yeah, very interesting. Really, really interesting to me. And in one email between Jeffrey and Peter Thiel, another demon, Jeffrey states, I do represent the Rothschilds. Yeah, you do, Jeffrey. Them and Mossad. We know all about it. And now we're finding out for a fact now that most of them are also sick-minded cannibals. Yeah, they fast on the delight of little ones. That's in there too. Very, very disgraceful. So sick and demented. Yet, no one is being held accountable. Why not? There's so many files, friends. So many photos. So many videos. Did I not tell you in the past that we would see more? And did I also not tell you in the past that there's videos that someone's sitting on? Videos that a whistleblower is sitting on. Ones that maybe even the law enforcement doesn't have. So just wait until, friends, mostly independent journalists are going to go scan through all those files because there's millions of them. It's going to take a while. So much is in there. And they redact a lot of it too, so you don't see what's really happening. Of course they do. Now, but there's more whistleblowers coming, and there's still so much more to come from this, I assure you, much, much more. Including some types of arrests that I feel that are going to be weaved into this web of darkness in some form or another. Because Spirit tells me that there's another island that exists besides the one that we know about, because that one's been taken over. They're probably even using that one still. But Spirit says there's still islands that exist. Islands, that's plural. Just it's all moved to a new place. Nothing has stopped. It all continues. Jeffrey, Spirit says, already had some facial surgery to cover up his identity, indicating, of course, that he is still alive, as I always said. I have no doubt. Now, there is a bigger Jeffrey type of bust coming in the near future. Bigger than that. Could you imagine something even bigger than that? But what makes it even bigger than Jeffrey, Diddy, and all the creeps wrapped up into one big old trash bag? Yeah, I said it in the past, and I'm going to say it again here today. It'll be a big, high-profile figure that's going to be caught in action. In turn, somehow or another, I see many being rescued after this high-profile takedown. So I'm looking forward to that one. Perhaps coming in, perhaps in this energy shift in March. Because, when we go through these energy shifts, truth comes out big time. And we'll see truth coming out because that's what the energy shifts do. They have a really good way of really bringing out the truth. The truth that many folks just can't handle. Speaking of high-profile arrests, I just wonder if we could place Don Lemon into that category. As I said earlier, I'm sure he'll place himself in that category, but not after I tell you what that category really describes. But he was arrested. And personally, I don't find him to be very high profile at all. Maybe high drama, but not high profile. Maybe in the news network, but to me, he's not what I would consider a high profile person. As far as his arrest, I have no clue really the details, and honestly, I don't really care very much about it either. What I do care about is, I don't care for him, and I'm sure CNN didn't either, did they? What I will say, if Don Lemon, that's a sour note right there, was there wearing his member of the press badge and recording the incident as a member of the press when it took place, when the protesters stormed that church during a mass, that to me is concerning because that's freedom of speech, that's freedom of press. That would be concerning. And I don't know. Again, I don't know the circumstances. You don't need to tell me. I really just telling you. Now, however, if he did participate in such an act, not as a representative of the press, perhaps the arrest would be justified. But only if all of those involved were also arrested. And I don't know if they were or not, but that would be the only. I have no clue. I did not read into the details. I'm sure someone will chime in and let us know down below in the comments. I'm sure. To me personally, I take high-profile arrests as being someone in the public eye that's like celebrity status, like a leader. A celebrity, like a Hollywood celebrity, or not Hollywood, but a big musician, somebody like that. And somebody like that that's doing something really horrific, shocking acts and breaking major laws, such as, corruption or something much worse. That would be, to me, a high-profile arrest. Kind of like Jeffrey. That's how I profile. Diddy, they were high-profile arrests. I wouldn't take Lemon at all as being high-profile. Did you also see that someone was actually arrested for trying to help Luigi Mangione break free from prison? Crazy people, friends, crazy people. There's also was just a hearing for Luigi that just ended with the verdict that he will no longer be facing the death penalty. I believe the person that was trying to rescue him or whatever, break him free, I think he was caught carrying in a pizza cutter. I think this is a story. Whatever it is, just crazy. Crazy times. Crazy people. Crazy times bring out the crazy people, for sure. Right now in India, breaking news, because they are telling us that there is a deadly outbreak of a bug said to be worse than the 2020 bug as far as the large fatality rate that it causes, 45 to 75%. The spirits did warn us, if you recall, that we would see several outbreaks in 2026. This definitely would be one of the first of concern outbreaks. Check out this piece right here. Give a listen.
A deadly virus with no cure is causing countries to roll out COVID-style airport checks. The Nipah virus can spread from animals to humans and currently has no vaccine or proven treatment. Nearly 200 people have been quarantined in India after 2 confirmed cases in West Bengal, and several countries across Asia have tightened border controls to prevent its spread. The virus is considered high risk by the World Health Organization, with a death rate ranging from 40 to 75%.
Creepy, huh, friends? Creepy. Yes. Does that bring back any flashbacks and anxiety from 2020? For sure. Is this something that we should be concerned about is the question I'm sure you're asking. And are the globalists pushing for another lockdown? Oh, perhaps they might be, but they're not going to get it. They might get it in India in a certain part, but that's doubtful as well. Something to me, and you let me know what you think, but something to me feels really, really off about the entire thing. The whole thing feels off to me. I'm not sure how, it just feels off. It almost feels kind of like it's extremely over-exaggerated. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel like all fact to me. And I feel that we should not at all be worried about this at this time, because there is going to be something hitting in the future that'll be much more concerning. And I don't even feel like that's going to play out for a few years down the road. So no worries, no fear. As far as lockdowns are concerned, if you remember, I felt future lockdowns, I said this years ago, probably back in 2020, that future lockdowns would be related more to the climate. Kind of like, if you recall, just not that long ago, was it December, that they had that radiation fog that not even swept through California. It sat over California for a period of time, alerting folks to stay indoors, by their own will. But still, that's kind of like locking people down without telling them they need to be locked down. Who wants to go out and breathe that crap in? I see something sweeping across Japan and through Europe that is going to cause alarm. That's going to cause people to lock down by choice. Like, again, you're not going to want to go out and breathe that in. So I see that coming too. And as I've been telling you all for years now, do not be scared. Be prepared. Have a few weeks worth of food on hand, or some survival food, or some pasta, just, something. A couple weeks, 2 weeks, 14 days at least. Have a clean source of water in case your water isn't working. If the grid happens to go down, so does everything else, including the pumps that pump the waters into your home. So a source of cooking your food would be important. Having candles, flashlights that are already charged, and so forth. Better to be safe, friends, than to be sorry if something does actually hit where you live. $3 trillion, friends. We talked about this in the beginning. $3 trillion in silver just disappeared last week, and the largest drop in precious metals in history. Yeah, that had so many people on edge. It still does. It has many people in a craze. Many people are still trying to dump it and sell it, which is really not a smart idea. But I also got an email from one of the bullion companies saying that people were rushing to buy it again. As well, smart thing to do. Did you know it was J.P. Morgan, of course, that did some kind of shady move like they did in the past that caused them to drop the price all the way down? Yeah. How did they get away with this? J.P. Morgan, the Morgan family, is one of the 13 wealthy families. The Morgans, the Chases, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. That's the cabal, friends. That's the real true puppeteers at the top of the ladder, controlling it all. All the leaders. You think the president makes all the decisions? Come on now. Right? Come on. There's somebody still pulling the strings. Always pulling the strings. I'm trying to pull this up because J.P. Morgan was charged years ago. They were given a $920 million fine. It's almost $1 billion for manipulating precious metals treasury market. That was years ago they did this, and they just did it again. But hey, we can still profit off that now, can't we? Yes, we can. Because silver dropped as low as $70, and I felt, and I might not have said this to y'all on the platforms, but I said it to my people, my Subscribe Store people, that I could see it going as low as 70. And went down to, 75 was the low? And what is it now? And again, today's Monday, 5:17 p.m., 7:17 East Coast time. And what is the price of silver right now? It was $78 last I looked. $82.50. It's rising again. It will. Did I not tell you that my feeling was it would hit 125 by February? We're in February. Almost hit 125, but it'll get there. I assure you. Remember, there's going to be shortages in silver, is what Spirit said. Just because the price went down, there's still shortages that are coming. Long-term investments. You hold on to it. That's what a long-term investment is. You hold on to it for a while. Because I could see silver bypassing $200 in the future. How far in the future? Not sure. Likely by the end of this year. Another one was the cryptos all took a big dive. I went in and bought more because it took a big dive. I said that XRP a while back I saw going as low as $150 and told you to buy it when it was $1.50. It wasn't quite $1.50. What did it go to that I just got it? I can't remember now. I haven't looked at that since this morning either. Let's see. It was down to, I think, $1.60 was the lowest I saw it. Hit. So that's close enough to $1.50. Oh, it did hit $1.50. Huh. How about that? Hit exactly $1.50. When did it do that? January 31st. Wow, I missed that. I didn't see it hit $1.50, but I did say that. So there's another prediction fulfilled. It'll go up again. Buy while you can. This is not a good time for crypto this month. Just let you know, because people keep asking the same questions in the comments. When's it going to go up? I don't have a date. Sorry, I don't do dates. I know that someone was saying, I heard someone say, is there going to be an earthquake February 18th? I'm like, I don't do dates. I did bring up that date as a significant date in my forecast, but not for anything specific other than some type of major world event. Certain dates jump out at me, but I won't put a date on things. XRP is what Spirit told me when I bought it last year, that it's a long-term investment. So long-term investments, hold on to these things. Because remember, we're not in the digital currency yet. That's when it's going to go up. That's when we're going to see things. And I said that I could see Bitcoin going down below 70,000, maybe even down as low as 40,000 at one point this year, which would be a good time to buy. So crypto is going to get hit. It's going to be a volatile market, just like the rest of the markets are. You just have to know what to look at and what to buy. Lots of ups and downs in the next 2 months. So you have to be careful. If you don't know what you're doing, just leave your money where it is then. So leave it where it is. And silver, I bet you will be back up to $100 by next week. I bet you. Probably past $100 by next week. So, yeah. Thanks, JP Morgan, for helping us make a little more money. Did you see that the doomsday clock was just moved to the closest point to midnight than ever before? I forget what it is now. I think it's like 30 seconds to midnight or something like that. Some ridiculousness with their little doomsday clock. I just think the whole thing's pretty silly, actually. I think it's really silly. Something they should be doing for, I don't know, not even little kids. It's just silly. The whole thing's silly. But yeah, they moved it closest to midnight just recently. At the new year, I guess it was. Yeah, than ever before. Another interesting thing that's happening. Mel Gibson wants to run for the governor of California. I hope he does. I like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson calls out truth. I like him. Might be a little crazy, but sometimes it takes crazy to make changes happen now, doesn't it? I hope he runs, but doubtfully he'll get very far, only because they'll, he's not going to sign his soul. That's why. He's not going to sign. He's not going to do it. But he'd make a good governor, wouldn't he? And I don't even know when their election is. I don't think it's a few years off, isn't it? Because we know that Newsom's going to try to run for president again. That's coming. But we can hold in the light. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that a movie star or actor became a governor of California. Remember, we had Arnold for years, who people say he ruined it. I don't know. I don't live in California, so I have no feedback on that. I'm looking for something here because someone told me in my predictions, I talked about seeing several royal funerals taking place. Someone in the comments told us Princess Irene from Greece and Denmark passed away January 15th in Spain. She was the sister of Queen Mother Sophia. Royal funerals took place in Spain and Greece with the presence of royals from all houses of Europe. This could be your first royal funeral of the year. That would make complete sense. First funeral in the first month of the year. That prediction came true quick. I don't know anything about the royals over there. I mean, the ones that we know mostly are like, Charles and that crew. But thank you for sharing that. That makes complete sense that that's exactly what happened. And then someone asked in the comments about the Council of Peace, and I touched on it, I think, last week. Trump's Council of Peace. I told you I felt like that's not good. I feel like it's just going to die out. I don't feel like it's going to come out. Nothing's going to come of it. I hope something does come of it, because I did say many, many, many years ago that the United Nations and NATO would both be washed up and gone. Something will have to replace it, I would imagine. Something that's actually grounded in positive energies and positive things. I'm bringing up questions now from subscribers that are left below, so please save your comments or your questions in the chat room. People are always asking questions in the chat room. I don't do questions in the live chat when we're premiering a video. Questions would be in the comments below any video with the letter Q, followed by the question. One question. Sometimes people list 3 or 4 questions, and that just gets ignored. So my first question here is someone says, do you think Waltz will ever see the inside of a jail cell? I very truly doubt it. I truly doubt it. And if he did, it would only be very short term, and it would probably be for the show. It's all a show, right? It's all a show. So it would all be for a show. That would be my feeling. I mean, he probably needs to. Hey, did y'all see in Minnesota? What's the Capitol building, I guess it is in Minnesota? Wherever the little hub is. Did you know that there's a whole inside, I don't know what you call it, a memorial, a plaque dedicated to Waltz from the Church of Satan? You can't make this stuff up, friends, I swear. Go look it up for yourself. A whole Church of Satan thing right there in Minnesota and Minneapolis. Yeah, dedicated to Waltz by the Church of Satan. Yeah. Yep, go look for yourself. If you're in Minnesota, go check it out for yourself. Go visit yourself. But yeah, I don't see that happening, unfortunately. I do feel like he's going to resign, though. Hi, Joseph. I would like to ask a question. Do people have a choice if they want to reincarnate or not? Well, I was sure in the heck would like to believe so. But here's something I learned from Spirit a long time ago. There's always a part of us that still resides in the heavens. That allows someone like myself, a medium that communicates with the deceased, to even communicate with spirits in the energy of those that may have reincarnated already. I've even seen cases in my mediumship work, even with a friend of mine that reincarnated. Eventually, it took years, but he reincarnated and came back as his sister's kid. So that's interesting. I believe more than anything that we choose. It is our choice, and most of us choose to come right back, believe it or not. Some of us come right back. Some of us wait a while. It depends. It depends on the level of our soul, too, because there are different soul levels, kind of like grade school. We could say like 12 different levels, 1st through 12th grade, maybe even 13 levels because we got, kindergarten. So kindergarten through 12, 13 levels. So it would also depend on your level of your soul and how evolved your soul is. If you're low on the totem pole, you usually go right back to school again, right back to learning again. And remember, we're not the only planet in the universe that we can incarnate on. Just saying. Many of us, if not all of us in some form or another, aren't from the earth to begin with. Other than, according to the Hopi people. They say they are the first people of the earth. But they even say the Star Brothers brought them here. Next question. Do you see us healing Earth? No. We are not going to be the ones to heal Earth. Mother Earth will heal herself. That is the shift. That's the Hopi prophecy. That's the great purification that the Hopi people talk about. I got to do another video on that, but I did one years ago, 2023, I believe it was, on the date April 13th, 2029, in the Hopi prophecy. I will redo that again in the next month or so. But it will be Mother Earth. She's going to heal herself. She's going to clear the stuff. We will help, assist, yes, for sure. We have to. It's going to come down to that. But Mother Earth's the one in charge. Spirit says never forget that. Pachamama is always in charge. Next question. Love your videos. With all the artificial intelligence happening affecting jobs, for your followers, what do the spirits in you suggest we can do as skills, career paths, or industries that can go into or stay in survive? Your insight and words would be greatly appreciated. And it's getting scary, and we have families to protect, feed, and shelter. Well, that's the other thing that Spirit showed me a long time ago, that humanity would be forced to come together. We would be forced to come together, and maybe artificial intelligence is one of those things besides Mother Earth that does force us to come together, to work in community and to grow and do things the way our ancestors did, working in community, having the community garden and the community cattle or what have you. So I don't worry about AI. I mean, it is creepy as all heck. I don't worry about it. What AI is going to do, it's going to replace, the common jobs, especially ones like I saw visions of it replacing mining and miners with the technology, better technology, and artificial intelligence. The best thing we could do is get in, especially for the younger people, is to get into computer programming. Because, somebody's got to program them. Get into the technical world. Unfortunately, that's where you're going to make money. But there's other industries that are always going to survive. Food industries are always going to survive. People are always dependent on food. You have to just kind of think that way. Not try to worry about it so much. It's easy to worry about that. Lily's asking, will the governor of Virginia serve her full term, or will the people petition to remove her? She's already creating I gotta look for her. Governor of Virginia. Abigail? Is that her name? She looks a little crazy. If looks could tell. Oh, what the hell happened? There she is. Is that her? Yeah. I feel like she's placed there like most of them, which means she ain't going to go nowhere. And what is she? She's your, I don't feel like she's going anywhere. Not yet. Moving right along. Hi, Joseph. You mentioned old ancient device in the orbits of the Earth we are going to hear about. I got the feeling that this ancient device has something to do with pyramids. You mean pyramids on the ground. You spelled that wrong, but that's okay. I spell things wrong too sometimes. Pyramids on the ground working together on free energy. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. What is in space? Well, somebody pointed out that there is that, what is it called? The Black Knight satellite, which is something in space that nobody knows what it is. There's in our orbit, not in space, but in our orbit. And there's going to be things discovered in our orbit as well. But I don't feel like they align at all are connected to the pyramids or free energy. The pyramids are connected to the free energy. But I don't feel like the satellites or what's in orbit has anything to do with that. Hi, Joseph. You mentioned... I did that one. Hi, Joseph. Thank you for your messages. I watch them often as I can. I love your straight-up attitude. My question is, do you see internet and power outages in Western Australia in the near future? I see global outages everywhere in the near future. There's no hold bars. Internet outages, power outages, and you just got to be prepared, especially during the windows of time that I always warn you about, like the one coming up. Retrogrades are notorious for assisting in the energies of these outages, so there'd be times to be prepared. But, eventually it's going to become a normality. The internet's out again, or this is out again, depending on where you live, too. U.S. citizens, Sandra says, U.S. citizens are traveling with their passports, and when they get to the international location, they can't enter the country. The reason? Their U.S. passports were canceled. They never canceled them, and they can't seem to fix the problem back in the U.S. Will this get worse? Some of them were canceled on purpose by the administration, according to the spirits. So it depends who's saying that it was canceled. Because some of them were canceled for good reason, according to the spirits. But those that are caught up in the glitch of it, it won't get worse. It'll actually be resolved. But some people, some countries, especially United Kingdom, if you put something on the internet that they don't like on social media, and no matter where you live in the world, you will be flagged. And if you try to get into their country, they're not going to let you in. And that's not conspiracy. That's truth. Just look it up for yourself. Debbie's asking, blessings from Oz. Is it safe to invest in the stock market in 2026? When is the crash coming? That's 2 questions, technically. I said it already earlier. You have to know what you're doing. And it can be safe. I've been watching the copper mining companies because copper, Spirit said, would be the next big thing. So copper mining stocks may be really good investment. You just have to go in when the big dips come. My feeling on the crashing of things, we're going to have several, I wouldn't call them crashes, but big downs in the markets. One coming up soon, probably by March, early April. But May, the end of the year, October, not May, I'm sorry, that's not the end of the year. October, November, the end of the year. That's when I see things getting really unstable. That could be when we can expect a potential collapse. Another thing I feel is that there's something coming with the real estate market too with that towards the latter part of the year. That just came to me, so we'll have to see what the spirits say. I'll have to meditate more on that. Keep in mind, though, I do have a prediction video. I actually filmed it last week. I just haven't edited it yet or put it out, but I'll put it out this week, Thursday likely. So keep an eye out Thursday for Black Mirror predictions and prophecy. I'm going to be wandering out. I found this great spot in Sedona, beautiful spot that I go to meditate and to hike because I'm working on hiking and getting myself in better shape. Lose a little bit of this girly hips. But I go out and found this spot, and I'm going to actually take my camera equipment out there, and I'm going to do some channeling with the spirits because there's this vortex of energy that I found that I want to sit in and meditate and tell you what I received from the spirits. So that'll probably maybe be out either Saturday or next week. So keep an eye out for that. Always working hard to bring you good content, predictions, prophecy, and truth. So please do hit that thumbs up love button or hit any button. Leave a comment below. All those things help this channel to grow, and I appreciate you for that. And I appreciate all those that are subscribers to the channel, all the subscribers on all the platforms, of course, and the members of the platform who are monthly supporters, the Subscribe Star supporters. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude for allowing this free content to be possible for everybody else. Don't forget to sign up for the free newsletter below and visit my website at spiritmanjt.com. I have a past life regression, exploring past lives workshop coming up in March. That's really good. That'll be fun. I have a Messages from the Other Side. You want to connect with deceased loved ones. I have a group Zoom event coming up in March, so check that out. I have events in Pennsylvania. The first two sold out, and I'm sure the next one will sell out really quickly, so you can check all that out at spiritmanjt.com. Till the next time, friends, remember, celebrate life, celebrate you. Be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly and have a beautiful rest of your day. And namaste and much love, friends.